Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're doing a two-round mock draft. I'm pretty excited about it, and it might be a pretty long video because I got a lot of stuff to cover. So make sure to grab a drink, grab a snack, sit down. It's gonna be pretty fun. So firstly, this mock draft is gonna have trades in it, and I didn't overdo it with the trades, but I want to do some trades that I thought made sense. And firstly, we're going to have the Colts trading with the Bears up for the first overall pick. And this is going to include the 4th, the 35th, 79th, two future thirds, and a future 4th in exchange for just the first. And I know y'all are thinking that that's probably that's a lot of capital to move up 3 spots. But I think that there's going to be 4 to 5 other teams, maybe even more, contending for that first overall pick. And for that team to get that actual pick, they're going to need to trade a lot. And all of these trades that I've already pre-done, I've ran through the draft calculator, so like the draft pick calculator, and like it makes total sense with the numbers. And this isn't like overdoing it. It's enough capital to get the first overall pick, and it's enough to probably beat out the other teams that are also trying to trade for it. So I think it makes sense. And with this first overall pick, the Colts are going to take Bryce Young. I think the Bears could trade down, get some more capital because they need it. Their team isn't that talented. I think they need more talent. So that's the whole reason that I decided to do that. And the Colts need their quarterback of the future, and they trade up to get that. Number 2 overall, the Texans are going to take quarterback Will Levis. Now, Will Levis isn't my number 2 quarterback on my board, but I think the Texans see something else maybe. Yeah, I think he's pro ready. He needs some talent around him. And I don't know if the Texans have that really, but I mean, there's potential for him to sit back a year. Davis Mills have another year, I guess. Probably not, but I don't know. I've seen a lot of reports saying that a lot of teams are interested in Will Levis, so I think number 2 makes sense. And then this is where we have our second trade. This will be between the Raiders and the Cardinals. So this is 7, 38, 109, 143, and a future 4th for the number 3 and number 169. And this trade is made because the Raiders are going to go get their quarterback of the future in C.J. Stroud. And the Cardinals start gathering picks to start rebuilding because they got kind of a long way to go. And at number 4, this is the Bears pick that they traded back from, and this is going to be Jalen Carter. They had one of the worst run defenses last year, and their D-line in general just kind of blows. So they trade back. They get the player that they probably could have taken first overall, and it would have been fine. So that's a dub pick. Number 5, the Seahawks go and get Will Anderson. Steal at number 5 right there. He's going to be immediately probably their best D-line player, if not one of their best players on defense. So they need pass rush. They get Will Anderson there. Another pick in the first round. The Seahawks have number 20, and it's going to make sense after that. So at number 6, the Lions have a lot of needs on defense. Their defense kind of sucked some games. It was kind of weird. Their defense sucked some games, and then their defense played insane some games. It was very odd. But for some more consistency, I'm going to say they go for Christian Gonzalez. I think he's the top cornerback in this draft class. and they pretty much one of their only glaring needs on defense is corner. They have some decent talent there, but to get some more consistency, they go Christian Gonzalez. I feel like a lot of teams, seeing how well Sauce Gardner produced for the Jets last season, a lot of teams are going to be targeting corner this class just because how much he improved that defense. I understand that Quinn Williams also helped, and a couple other players did, like DJ Reed, but I mean, I think just seeing how that corner improved that defense dramatically, like a lot of teams will see Devin Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez, and a couple other corners in this class and be like, yo, like maybe we can do the same thing, and that's why I have Christian Gonzalez going that high at number 6. And at number 7, I've seen this guy going really low, and not a lot of teams liking him anymore. But I still really like Myles Murphy. I think he's a freak. He's a huge dude. He's fast. He's a great rusher, great run defender. I don't know why. Like I've seen a lot of mock drafts he keeps going down and down. But I'm gonna keep having him in my top 10 unless something happens that I don't like. I mean, I don't understand why he keeps falling, but that's just me. But yeah, Myles Murphy at number 7. They're losing J.J. Watt, and I can definitely see them taking a player on the D-line to definitely improve that. At number 8, the Falcons. This is going to be the third trade of the video. And out of all of the first-round trades, this one might not make the most sense, but I think it's pretty good. And that's going to be the New England Patriots, who correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they've traded up the past 2 drafts, or they traded down, but they traded in the first round for the past couple of years. And this is them finally going to get that offensive player that they've always wanted. And it's going to be the 8 for the 14, 76, 107, and 135 for the number 14th overall pick. Or sorry, for the number 8th overall pick. That should go through. Yep. And I think the Falcons should probably trade back, get a couple more picks, improve their team, maybe surround Desmond Ridder with some talent. Their team really overall isn't bad. Like they if they had like a couple more relatively talented players on their defense or offense, they probably could have won that division because it was so bad. But I think overall their team is very solid. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see their future, and they trade back, get some more picks. But the Patriots here are going to draft Jackson Smith-Njigba. He was a player last season that absolutely balled out, and a lot of mock drafts had him going in the top 10, and then his injury happened this season, and he fell, and he came back, and he just wasn't the same player, and he got injured again, and he just keeps falling. But I think he's still there. Talent's still there. He's a great route runner, probably the best in the draft, if not second. I think he's just a really solid wide receiver. He's going to be open almost every time if he's healthy. And getting Mac Jones, that wide receiver that offense desperately needs, is a big deal. And at number 9, the Panthers go and get their quarterback of the future, and Anthony Richardson. Now, I can see him sitting a year. I can see him maybe playing half a year, but I think that the Carolina needs a quarterback pretty bad. They're pretty desperate for a quarterback, and Anthony Richardson's got traits that are just absolutely insane. He can develop for a year there, and next season be an absolute stud for him. I see a lot of teams, I see a lot of people comparing Will Levis to Josh Allen, but I'd say Anthony Richardson is closer to Josh Allen in my mind, and I think his traits compare a lot more to him than Will Levis. Okay. Next pick, the Eagles at number 10. They are going to take Tyree Wilson. They're losing a lot of talent on that D line. They're pretty. They need a player to put there, and Tyree Wilson, huge dude, really good defender, and I think that's a perfect pick for him. Got someone to put on the line after, because they have two players that are leaving free agency. I think Brandon Graham and then Javon Hargrave, and both players are really good, and they played really well in the last season, and they're a big reason they made the Super Bowl. So getting a player that can replace them is huge. And number 11, the biggest need that the Titans have is O-line. They get the best tackle in the class in Paris Johnson. Simple, not much to it. Desperate for O-line play, they get the best one. And then at 12, this is another offensive line pick, and this is Broderick Jones. Protect your new quarterback, Will Levis. Get someone on the left side. You're probably trading Larry Tunsil. That's what I would do if I was the Texans. And they get Broderick Jones, the second best tackle in this class. The Jets also go offensive line, and they take Peter Skoronski. Their two tackles their left tackle, Dwayne Brown, is going to be either 36 or 37 next year, really old. Really old for a NFL player. I doubt he'll be in the league next year, and just in case, get your blindside protector and Peter Skoronski. Number 14, the pick that the Falcons traded back from. They're going to get a high-level prospect in Devin Witherspoon. They have a pretty large need at corner, beside from A.J. Terrell. They traded for Rashad Fenton. They signed Casey Hayward in free agency last year. That just seems to me like they're desperate for cornerback play. Like, I don't know. It's crazy that how much they've tried to invest into their corners, and it just hasn't worked out. And them trading for Rashad Fenton at the trade deadline this past season was just telling of how much they need it and how much they wanted one. So getting Devin Witherspoon at 14 is a pretty good deal to me, to be honest. Yeah, I think it makes sense. At number 15, the Packers, they're going to get their wide receiver of the future in Zay Flowers. Second wide receiver off the board. I think Zay Flowers is a stud, great route runner, very shifty. It's tough to compare someone to as good as a talent as Tyreek Hill, but I think Zay Flowers possesses a lot of the same traits. Definitely not as fast, but coming out of college, I think he is a more polished route runner, and he's gonna do wonders for whatever quarterback is throwing him the ball next season, if that's Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love. Number 16, this is another trade I have, and this one kind of makes sense. I don't know. I think it does. The Baltimore Ravens are trading up from number 22 to 16, so they're going to trade 22 and a future second in exchange for the 16th and 193rd pick. Should go through. There we go. And the Ravens take another wide receiver in Jordan Addison. Ravens kind of need a number one wide receiver after Rashad Bateman hasn't really been a great player to start his career. He's been an all-right player, but they just need more wide receiver talent. And if you're going to re-sign Lamar Jackson to a large contract, which I don't know if they are, this video is made on February 26th, so I don't know what they're going to do with Lamar Jackson. But if you do re-sign him, you probably want to get him some wide receivers. If you don't re-sign him, you probably also want to have wide receivers for whatever quarterback comes in after him. So, yeah. At number 17, the Steelers are going to take Joey Porter. Their top wide receiver, Cameron Sutton, who's been great for him this past season, is hitting free agency, and they could resign him and take another corner and be good. But in this case, I'm going to say they don't resign him because another team offers him too much, and they don't want to resign him, and they draft Joey Porter. Great corner. This corner class is very deep, and as I was saying in the first part of the video, like, a lot of teams are going to think that their corners can change their defense, which Pittsburgh has a great defense already, so adding a great player to it is just going to make it better. And the next pick, the Lions, they're going to take Brian Brzee. Absolute menace. He can play pretty much every single position on the D line. I think he's comparable to Chris Jones. He's probably not as athletic to play defensive end, but if you put him on inside as a 3 tech, maybe he could do good. Yeah. The Lions had a rough run defense this past year, and just getting someone like that could do wonders for their defense. Next pick is going to be Bucks, and they need corner. Their top two corners, Jamel Dean and the other guy, I forgot his name. Oh, Sean Murphy-Bunting and Jamel Dean are both hitting free agency. Don't know if they're gonna re-sign them both, but in this case, they're gonna take Cam Smith out of South Carolina to be that guy who's like a. If they resign him, that's cool, but if they don't, then you got Cam Smith, so that's nice. Maybe a little bit of a jump to take Cam Smith, but I think he's a great player. I don't know why PFF has him so low. So you'll see that a couple of these picks. It's like PFF has him ranked so low or so high where I just don't end up taking him that high, or I end up taking him really low or high. Sorry, I don't know. It's confusing, but number 20, Seahawks double dip on D line because that is their most pressing need, and they get Kalijah Kancey, who I really like. I think Kalijah Kancey is a beast. I think he could be a top 20 pick. I doubt he'd go with top 15, but he's a very solid player who should be a first round pick. If he's not, then whoever drafts him is going to get an absolute steal. Number 21, Chargers. They might lose Keenan Allen. They're most definitely going to lose Keenan Allen or Gerald Everett, so they need another player to step up. And they draft Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston was really streaky the past year. He either had like a 100-yard game or a 25-yard game. It was pretty crazy how inconsistent he was, but adding him to that offense with Mike Williams and Josh Palmer and Jalen Guyton could be something special. With obviously you got Justin Herbert throwing the ball, so that's also going to help. At number 22, I for some reason really like this pick. It may be a little confusing, but I have Michael Mayer going to the commies, and I don't know. I think Eric Bieniemy really likes to use his tight ends, and I don't know if the Commanders have Logan Thomas as their starting tight end, and then a couple other players who are just like solid, I guess. But I think adding another weapon to that offense for Sam Howell could do wonders, and getting a tight end who can both block and be a great receiver is going to be really nice for Sam Howell. Maybe use him as a safety blanket too. I think it could really help Sam Howell's development if they choose to go forward with him. And yeah, I maybe it's a little bit high for a tight end, but Michael Mayer is a very good prospect. Number 23. This is going to be Lucas Van Ness. Now, I have him going so low because he's really young, and I think he's more of a prospect than people think. It was really tough to have him go earlier in the draft, but he ends up here at Minnesota. I think Minnesota, like, there's other players here that you could have taken, but I think the most pressing need for the Vikings right now would be D-line. Lucas Van Ness is obviously a great player. So, and I think they're cutting a couple of their defensive players that were like really good for him this past season, the Vikings, and adding Lucas Van Ness is nice for that. The Jags next pick. They need a corner. They go Deonte Banks out of Maryland. Deonte Banks is a great player. He fell under the radar most of the season, but he finally gets the recognition that he deserves, and he falls to the Jags, where that's pretty much their biggest need on defense. They, like, if you watch them this past season, the receivers that they were covering just kind of always seem to get open. It's pretty rough. The defense didn't play good for most of the season, but they get a good player in Deonte Banks. New York Giants next pick. They go Kayshon Boutte. Now, I know you were saying Kayshon Boutte, that's a little high for him. But I think Boutte's got a really high ceiling. I know he hasn't shown it the past 2 years, but I think he can still be a very solid player. He's a big receiver. He's fast. He's got the route running. He's got the route tree. And the Vikings, or not the Vikings, I think the Giants really need a wide receiver number one. And out of all the receivers left right now, I think Boutte has the most potential out of all of them. So getting him at 25, I think is a pretty good deal. Number 26, Cowboys. They also go receiver, and they get the best deep threat left in Jalen Hyatt. They've kind of missed having a deep threat, and they were ravaged with injuries for most of the season in the wide receiver room. And Jalen Hyatt is going to immediately add a next level to that offense where they can take a top off and make a team go more cover two shells, so they can just pound the run game with Zeke if he's there, and Pollard if he's there. So, yeah. Number 27, Bills' biggest need would probably be interior offensive line. Their guard, I think it was Roger Saffold. He's 34. Probably not going to be here next year, and you get a guard to improve the run game or block for your quarterback, your superstar quarterback. Number 28. This is also a lineman to the Bengals, Anton Harrison. Their tackles really struggled this season. Jonah Williams is not a great player. In their right tackle, I'm forgetting his name right now, but the old Cowboy, he's not a good player either. Like, I'm just completely be honest. Like, you can probably put Jonah Williams at a right tackle position, and he'll play a little bit better, and Anton Harrison at your blindside protector, and I think that would be easily a better offensive line. But it's been their biggest need for a while. Maybe you put Anton Harrison at guard, but I think Anton Harrison would probably be your best tackle that you have on the roster if you draft him, and he can be a blindside protector for one of the best quarterbacks in the league. This Saints pick will be Adebaware. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Adebaware. He can play inside, outside, on defensive line. The Saints are losing Davenport and um, their interior, one of their interior defensive linemen, and Kim Jordan is aging. So they desperately need another player on the D line to help out, and that's Adebaware. He's a very good player. I've watched some of his tape. It's pretty good. I don't know if I haven't seen any other mock drafts mocking him in the first round, but I think he could be a perennial first round pick. Maybe a couple spots in the second round down, but I think he deserves first round pick. Eagles, they're at number 30. This is going to be a corner. Emmanuel Forbes. Big corner who could play down and press your receivers, and they're going to be Darius Slay's getting older. Bradbury might not be there next season, depending on if they resign him or not. But if both of those guys take a step down, or if one's gone and Darius Slay takes a step down, that corner group is not that talented. Like, they need a corner if if that stuff happens. So Emmanuel Forbes, immediate replacement for them. The Chiefs, my favorite team here, they take Andre Carter. Now, I know the Chiefs had the second most sacks in the league this year, but it was pretty inconsistent. And other than Chris Jones, like when Chris Jones was getting double teamed, Karlaftis and Frank Clark kind of struggled to get off their block sometimes. So getting another player who can provide a pass rush, because Frank Clark might not be here next season. They're going to cut him, save $21 million, and I don't know if they're going to re-sign him after that, sign him to a cheaper deal. But getting a player who can replace that, and Andre Carter, who is he could be a upgrade. A really great player, dominated at Army. Thankfully, he was able to declare for this draft and not have to go serve. So that's good. And the Chiefs get a great player at number 31. Okay, time for the second round. Starting off the second round, we have a trade. This is the Steelers sending number 32 to the Rams. 32 for 36, 182, and a future third for number 32 and a future fourth. And I have them taking... Oh, shoot, where's he at? Oh, no. Hold on a second. There we go. B.J. Ojulari. Now, I'm not the biggest B.J. Ojulari fan, but I think in that defense, he could probably become something pretty special. There are edge rushers that have been on like 1-year deals or like 5th round, 6th round picks, have produced pretty well for them in the past, just because of how good Aaron Donald is, how good that defense is. And putting Aaron Donald and B.J. Ojulari on the same line, and Leonard Floyd, maybe that would be something pretty special. Maybe you can try and get a couple more years out of Aaron Donald with a dominant team. And trade up to get B.J. Ojulari. This Texans pick, they need some weapons because Brandon Cook's probably not going to be there, and they get Josh Downs. He had a great season at North Carolina. I'd say he's an average route runner, but he's a smaller player. I think he's 5'10", but he tracks that ball down. And he goes up and gets it, man. He's a great player. He's a pretty good player after the catch too. So I think he could be. I think he's a solid like replacement for Brandon Cooks. I think they're similar in play style. Obviously, Brandon Cooks is probably a better player, but Josh Downs is a is a great player too as a rookie. So I think it's a good pick. Cardinals here are going to take Felix Anduke Uzama, and I am a big fan of Felix. He's an edge rusher with great bend. He's got a lot of potential, and with J.J. Watt retiring, they get another edge because I had them taking Miles Murphy earlier. So just adding another player to that D line, just dominating in the trenches, I think is really important, and that's I think the Eagles showed that in their Super Bowl run. Just being able to dominate on the offensive line and defensive line are extremely important, and getting two great rookies, can boost that immediately and help out that defense, especially that defense sucks so bad. So, okay. 35, the Bears. This is controversial pick, but it's going to be Matthew Bergeron. Now, if we're looking at these tackles left, I think Duncan may be better than Bergeron. Darnell Wright and DeJuan Jones almost definitely are better than Bergeron. However, Wright and Jones are probably going to be right tackles in the NFL, but Bergeron is the only player left that is a true left tackle, and Chicago really needs a left tackle, and Bergeron is pretty much the only player left to be that, and I feel like if you wait a little bit more, you're probably not going to get him. So it's a little bit early for him, but it's a need, and you go and get players that you like. So, yeah. Number 36. This is Darnell Wright. Yeah. Pittsburgh's biggest need on O-line would probably be right tackle. I think his name is Dan Moore. As a left tackle, was awful. They made offensive plays specifically to run out to the right side, so Dan Moore wouldn't lose his block every single time. And if they're going to continue to do that, I feel like getting a great right tackle in Darnell Wright is a necessity. So that's the pick there. Number 37. This is finally Brian Branch. Now, teaming up Branch with that young secondary and Jamal Adams, very nice. Brian Branch could play some corner. He could play a lot of 2-eye safety. That's where he's been a great player, coming down in the box and dominating as a corner and as a safety. Great player for this defense. He can make Jamal Adams come down a little bit more too, so both of those players can play down in the box, which is super nice to have. He fell a lot here because it's really hard to project safeties and where they're going, because a lot of teams, like, it seems like they don't need a safety and they take a safety. I don't know. It's very hard. But yeah, that's the pick. First of all, I want to say Brian Branch is a great player. Should be a first-round pick. Should be maybe a top 20 pick. That's the kind of player I think he is. But it's just tough to project where safety is going to go. And as you'll see soon here, there's another position that's just so hard to project and pick. So, number 38. This is also a tackle. This is DeJuan Jones. Cardinals need a right tackle pretty bad, and that's the pick there. Protect your quarterback that you spend a lot of money on. Kyler Murray's not going to play for the first 4 or 5, maybe more than that, weeks of the next season. So getting a player who can block for that quarterback, whoever it is pretty important. This pick. This is Bijan Robinson. Now, this is what I was saying earlier with the position, that it's very hard to project, because not a lot of teams need running back, and running backs are pretty easy to find to be a good player. But I think the Panthers are one of the teams that have the biggest need there. And I think they can get away with not re signing Donta Foreman after his breakout season. And I don't know how much money he's going to ask for, but I assume it's between 5 to 10 million. And maybe you don't want to pay a running back that, and you draft Bijan Robinson. And Bijan Robinson and Anthony Richardson, stud duo for years to come. I think that's really exciting. That definitely get a lot of watches for next season for the Carolina Panthers. I'd definitely be tuning in to watch that. That'd be fun. Bijan Robinson in that offense could be pretty special. Okay, next. Saints get a developmental quarterback in Tanner McKee. I think Tanner McKee is a pretty good prospect. I think he's got a lot of traits that allow him to play better than he actually is, I guess, because Stanford's team was just so bad this year. Like it, watching him, you just kind of felt bad for him. The pressure was almost immediate, and Tanner McKee was that pretty much that whole offense. I think putting him behind a good team with weapons, you got a solid line with the Saints. You got Kamara, Olave, maybe Michael Thomas, Rashid Shaheed. Uh, yeah, I don't think he plays right away, but as a developmental quarterback that can play next year, it's a very solid pick, number 40. He's got a lot of potential. He's a good quarterback prospect. Like, he's not top the line, but he's a solid quarterback. And number 41, the Titans recently released Zach Cunningham, so they need that starting Mike linebacker, and that's Jack Campbell. Start at Mike. He'll be solid off the bat. He's a great run defender. All right in pass pro, or sorry, in pass. Oh my gosh, in passing downs, but he'll be that 3 down linebacker that is a downhill menace in the running game. And as a team that's rebuilding, it's pretty important to get a leader on that defense, and Jack Campbell can be that. Number 42. This is going to be Tuli Pelotu, and Browns pretty much need that player. Not need, but it's a want. They want a player to play opposite of Myles Garrett and help him free up some blocks, or if Myles Garrett frees up some blocks for Tuli, that'd be great. It's important to get pressure, and getting a top tier edge rusher, or he can even play 3 tech. Is pretty important. He's a great player. He had double-digit sacks for USC. He was great in the run game too. So, yeah, great player, great spot. 43, Jets. They also need a linebacker. And this is, I think, Drew Sanders. I really like Drew Sanders. I had him going in my first. I am going in the first round, the last mock draft. But here I am going at 43, and he's a great blitzer. I didn't watch a lot of Jets games this past season, but I think Mosley was on a good amount of blitzes and going after the quarterback, and exchanging Mosley for Drew Sanders there is a pretty big jump, because Drew Sanders is a great blitzer from the quarterback position. Probably second to Ivan Pace, but definitely a top player there. And he's a solid coverage linebacker. He's fast. He's huge guy. So he's pretty good in the run game too, defending it, and solid player here. definitely solid. Falcons. I have them taking Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith kind of took a fall right here, but I think it's a solid place for him. I don't, I'm not in love with Nolan Smith, but he's a pretty good edge rusher. I don't think he's got a lot of potential with helping out a run defense just because he's kind of small. I think 235, which that's not small, but in NFL terms, that's definitely small. So yeah, I think it's a solid pick there. They pretty much they need a lot of edge rush. They need edge rush help to help Grady Jarrett. Okay, next pick. This is going to be Dalton Kincaid, and you're probably going to lose your tight end. Man, I'm forgetting his name right now. But you need some weapons to help out your quarterback. Whoever that is, like I'm repeating myself because I had them taking Zay Flowers earlier, but you need a weapon to help out your quarterback, whoever it is, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, whatever. Dalton Kincaid could be that safety blanket. Great receiving tight end. He's the best receiving tight end in this class by far, I think. And he's a lot. He's Travis Kelce like, just not a good blocker. I'm not gonna hype him up, but Dalton Kincaid's a great receiving tight end. Basically another wide receiver on the field who's just huge. So great player. Great player. I think he's a first round talent, but obviously falling here to 45. 46. All right. This is one of my favorite picks, which I think it's almost perfect. These two parties joining. Simpson's defense would be insane, and like I said, perfect for both of them. Simpson makes a lot of sense in that defense. Like I've said that like 3 times in a row, but I think the Patriots can take him in the first round and be comfortable with it too. Like he can play 3-4 different positions. The Patriots kind of need linebacker. Like they have linebackers who played solid this year, but just like overall, just like aren't gonna get much better, or they've only played good because of their scheme. So getting Simpson, immediate upgrade, great player. Pretty good defender in the past too, and getting a linebacker who can do that is extremely important. He had an off season this year compared to his last couple of years, but overall, I think he's a great player who can really help out a defense. All right, Commanders here. This is Hendon Hooker. I love Hendon Hooker. I wish he never got hurt. If he didn't get hurt, he would have been a first round pick. But Commanders get a player who can develop. He's probably not going to play this next year due to injury, but if he develops into a good player, I think that's definitely possible, and that's what happens in my mock. All right, Lions go and get Luke Musgrave. Not saying too much here, but they traded away their starting tight end last season, or during the season last year, T.J. Hawkinson, and they go get a replacement to help out make their offense even better. Steelers, they're going to get Keely Ringo. They double dip on corner because it's a pretty big need. Like I said earlier, they're probably going to go off of Cameron Sutton. They just double dip on corner here and make sure that's not a need going further. Buccaneers, Nathaniel Dell. They get a true deep threat. Mike Evans might not be on the team next year. We'll have to see. I highly doubt that, but even if Mike Evans and Godwin are still on the team, like their cornerbacks after that are looking pretty rough. Like Russell Gage is pretty solid, but how much longer is he going to be there? So getting a deep threat who will get open for their next quarterback, whoever that is pretty important. Seahawks. This is back-to-back wide receiver. This is going to be Parker Washington. Another deep threat who is comparable to Tyler Lockett, a good route runner. And Tyler Lockett, I don't know how many years he has left, but if you want to keep Geno Smith Young. You're gonna have to put talent around him, and Tyler Lockett obviously isn't getting any younger. So Parker Washington, great player, I think. Sorry, not great player, I think, but great player in my mind. Great place there with that offense. Dolphins, their first pick of this draft, they go and get Garrett Williams, a playmaker, cornerback, and I really like Garrett Williams. I think he's one of the best corners in this draft class, and that's saying something. He's a playmaker off the ball. He'll go and get the ball from you. He'll rip it out. He's got a long reach, so he can make a play on it too. So great player at 52. I think it's a steal. Number 53. This is the Chargers pick, and we're gonna go with Tyreek Stevenson. You need to stop the quarterbacks in your division, and you got Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson if he improves, and Justin Herbert. Their corners are kind of lacking, especially because J.C. Jackson is injured, and I don't know if he'll even play next season. And if he does, like that, the corner room is not very good, other than Asante Samuel. So getting some more talent there is vital. The Bears at 54. This is my last trade of the day, and it's going to be to the Chiefs. So they trade the 54th pick for the 63rd, 123, 168, and a future fourth. There we go. For the number 54th pick, and they take a wide receiver who can go up and snag a ball in Rashee Rice. And they've really needed that kind of player, a player that can go up and grab a football when Mahomes throws it up. And they figure out their two biggest needs right there with D-line and wide receiver in the first two rounds. All right, Lions, they go and get Antonio Johnson. Pretty simple pick. Their corners, Antonio Johnson, he can play as a big slot or slide back to safety where he's pretty good as well. And getting Christian Gonzalez and Antonio Johnson both in that secondary is going to really help that defense. Number 56, this is going to be Keon White, a guy with a lot of potential. Stud. He's an athlete. Huge guy. Put him on that D-line. Let him go to work. You can slide him in as a 3-tech. You can maybe put him out as a 0-tech, but he's probably a little too small for that. But if you want, having a depth at D-line is important. And they just re-signed Roy Robertson-Harris, and they have Josh Allen, and they have Trayvon Walker, and now Keon White. Like that looks scary. That looks very scary to me going forward. Having Keon White, that's deadly, straight up. Now at 57, this is one of my favorite picks. We got Darnell Washington to the Giants. Darnell Washington, huge guy, a lot of potential. I like this pick because one of the reasons the Giants were so good this year because they capitalized on every single red zone opportunity they had, and they made the most out of every opportunity they had. And being able to get a guy that's 6'7", 270, I believe, to mostly improve that red zone percentage again, have that be one of the highest in the league, and be a blocker as well. Really important. He's a huge target too, so I think that's another target for Danny Dimes to have. All right, number 58, the Cowboys. They go out and get Diane Henley, guy who's been rising recently. They finally get to get off of Leighton Vander Esch and have another linebacker who can play off ball and just dominate in the run, or he's pretty good in pass coverage too. So, yeah, like I said, he's been rising up the boards recently, getting a lot of comparisons to Fred Warner, which I kind of see it. I mean, he's just a guy who plays similar to Fred Warner, not really a guy who is Fred Warner, but if he's half of Fred Warner, the Cowboys would probably love that. So, all right, next pick, number 58, the Bills. They get Sidney Brown, player who can come down, play corner, play cover two. If they need him to play corner, that's fine because their corners are kind of lacking right now too. Their recent first round pick wasn't great. He got benched halfway through the season. I'm forgetting his name right now, but I think he was like the 25th overall pick or something like that last season. But he hasn't played great. They have Teron Johnson, who's been solid. Obviously, they got Trey White. So but they're mostly, this pick was made because Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. Not gonna have them for very long. I think Jordan Poyer is the one hitting free agency this season, and I doubt he'll be back with the team. But getting Sidney Brown as a replacement, it's pretty solid. All right, and then the Bengals pick next, and this is going to be Noah Sewell. This pick's made mostly because of potential. And I know that's saying a lot, but Noah Sewell had a great last season. Not this past season, but 2 years ago in 2021, 2022, I believe that was the year. And he was a first-round pick easily that year, but this past season was awful for him. Wasn't great. So definitely a potential pick more than a help us out right now pick. Number 61. This is a player that I really like, and it's unfortunate that he ended up falling in my mock. But Isaiah Foskey, he can help out that defense, be opposite of Brian Burns, and create a killer duo right there. I really like Isaiah Foskey. He had double-digit sacks with Notre Dame this past season, and he was very solid for him. He's a great player. The Eagles' next pick, this is also going to be on the D-line just because of how much they're aging. Where's he at? Carl Brooks. Just because of how much they're aging and how much they really need that now. This guy can play. This guy is mostly going to play 3-tech for him. So it's the Javon Hargrave replacement. So he'll play opposite of their first-round pick last year, the defensive lineman, also forgetting his name. But here you got Tyree Wilson, maybe Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick, Carl Brooks, and their first-round pick last year on that offensive line. That's pretty good. And that's kind of like a rebuilt, transitioning offensive line that they're just starting after like having the same guys for the last 5 seasons that have just played well. So, yeah, retooling if I must. And this is the last pick of the whole mock draft. Long video. Sorry about that, guys, but this is the Bears pick that they traded down from, and this is going to be a wide receiver. So I'll help that wide receiver room, and it's going to be Cedric Tillman. He's a player that is 6'3", 215, and he had 1,081 yards and 12 touchdowns last season. He'd be a great addition to that wide receiver room, and he'd be one of Justin Fields' favorite targets. So that is my mock draft, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about all these picks. And, yeah, I'll see you guys next video. Bye.